pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes of March 18th, 2024.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Commissioner Pierce.
March 18th, 2024.
Second by Commissioner Hatch. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Awards and proclamations, nothing. Public hearing, we have one from the Devils Lake Planning Commission about change in zoning. There's a recommendation to change a couple areas to clean up. Is that, give that to you, Rob?
Yep, I'll take that. And so there was a request that had come in one of the zones for a property owner who wanted to do an addition on their home. We identified that it was zoned commercial, highway commercial, which is a non-conforming use so that they could not do any additions, and there are homes in those areas. So it got us to looking at some cleanup that needed to be done around the city. And we'll kind of go at these there's 4 different sections you'll see in your map that we'll talk about here. The first section is going to be west of College Drive and south of Highway 19 there. And that was the area that kind of got us going on this. We had no complaints or issues or objections to the zoning change for that area. And so the recommendation from the zoning is to change the zone there from highway commercial to neighborhood commercial. And then, so that'll be the first block that we address. The second block then that we'll look at is going to be the one that's going to be off of west of 6th Avenue, southeast down there by the Department of Transportation. We did have some property owners that did come and question the zoning there. And so the commission chose to table that one and work with those property owners and take a look at what we have laid out there for that area and maybe do some adjustment to it. We may take a half block off here, a half block there. But we want to work with the with the owners of the properties in that area to make sure that we're doing it right and that we're not trying to cause problems for anybody. We just want to fix some things up so that it works for everyone. And so that one will be coming back in front of you down the road. The next one is going to be the one that's just east of SmileQuest. And that one there, again, no objections. No one came and spoke up on that one. That was a pretty easy one of changing it from light industrial to neighborhood commercial. And then the last one is going to be down on 16th Street Southeast, where we're changing from a manufactured housing to a residential low density. All those lots there are city owned. And we're looking to potentially get those out so that we can get some construction done moving forward on that.
Okay.
And again, there were no objections on those last 2. The only one that we have is the one just west of 5th Avenue there that we're going to wait and go back and sit down and redraw that one out.
Is there anybody here to speak to any one of these zoning plans? If not, I will close the hearing. And we will now make a recommendation from the Planning Commission.
So the recommendation is to approve the 3 out of the 4. With the 1, we won't take any action on it this time.
Any questions from the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation from the planning zone.
Commissioner Robbins,
I'll second that.
Commissioner Hamry. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Bid openings, we have nothing at this time. Visitors and delegations, we have Lisa from the Lake Region Heritage Center. If you please come to the podium and identify yourself.
I'm Lisa Crosby with the Lake Region Heritage Center and the Lake Region Arts Center. And I appreciate you guys seeing me today. I am requesting our second quarter funds. And then I think I did see on the bills that also some of the rent reimbursement was also added in on that for the Arts Center also. So just a regular quarterly meeting. So we are very, very busy at both places. We're getting ready for the gala at the Heritage Center. So we're in full planning mode for the gala. That's April 20th. We are about 3/4 sold out for that. I've been interviewing Gary Krantz. Mike's been helping me with that. He's been calling him often for different things, but I appreciate his help with that. I'm doing a thing with elders in the community that have a lot of knowledge of the community. So I've been doing that. And then also we did get the large structure of the mini H that was in the paddle wheel up on the wall in the Heritage Center. So if anyone wants to come and see that, that looks really beautiful up there. Came out much nicer, but we wanted that up for the gala. And yeah, just lots and lots and lots of things going on. Any other questions? My head is swirling. We have an opening this Saturday for the Bob Christie, our closing, I'm sorry, for the Bob Christie photography exhibit at the Art Center. We've sold some of his works, which is really good because we get some commissions off of that. And then we also have a baby shower at the Heritage Center at the same time. So we'll be busy running back and forth, or I will. But I have great volunteers at the Art Center. So that's good.
Any questions of the commission?
I do want to thank Lisa. We've been working together on some downtown security cameras. There's some areas of downtown, some alleys, as well as areas of Fifth Avenue and the eastern end of 4th Street that we're unable to capture with the system that the city has downtown. And so the Heritage Center is looking at putting up cameras of their own, and we were able to work together to do what you needed to do, but grab a lot of the sites that we were looking at. And so with that, I'm still waiting on the final numbers, but I would hope that we could provide some cost share for the Heritage Center for purchasing the equipment rather than renting it. Then we would have that equipment. It's available for PD. I understand that you guys are already set up for it.
Correct, yep.
To do
We've been viewing it as well.
and so we have that, but as soon as we have those numbers put together from NDTC, I would like to see us cost share with that, make it affordable for them, because ultimately you're paying a monthly fee for the access for us that we won't be paying. So I would like to see us help you a little more upfront for capturing the areas that we would like to be viewed downtown.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We have it up and running right now. The system is beautiful and I watch it often. Kind of fun to be at home and see what's going on downtown as well as in your building. But yeah, that'd be awesome. So when we know more.
Well, thanks for everything you're doing for us. I think it's great that the Arts Center has taken off like it has. I think I think you knew that was going to happen. I'm glad you had that insight.
Yeah, it is busy. And, with the winter, it was a little bit slower, but foot traffic is busier on those days. Volunteers have been really good about keeping it open the days that we have been open, starting this month. And then for sure, May 1, it'll be open more, Tuesday through Saturday. And the high school, we're working together. We're going to have their final exhibition at the Art Center instead of in the high school library, so the public can see it and hopefully raise some money for their art classes and build a bigger budget for them. So we're really excited to be working with them and Mrs. Cavley. It's a lot of fun. And then of course Art Fest, June 15th. So
You guys have studios in there too, right?
we have two small
Are they
studios.
being used? Are the people utilizing those?
Not yet, but then they're small,
Yeah.
they're like dressing rooms. So we do have two people that are interested, but they just don't really know how. I think one is for sure going to be used, is going to be rented, but the other one, they didn't know how, when they saw how small it was, they weren't sure. So we'll see.
Anything else? Along with her visit comes a request for what, $9,639.50?
Yes.
I'll make a recommendation to approve the quarter funds.
A motion for that? Okay, Commissioner Pierce,
Second.
Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Robbins.
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce.
Aye.
Commissioner Henry.
Aye.
Commissioner Hash.
Aye.
President Mo.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, second item, Devils Lake Chamber and Tourism. Susie, if you would, please.
Good evening.
Good
Susie
evening.
Kenner, Devils Lake Chamber and Tourism. I'm here wearing both hats today, so if it's okay, I'll tackle the tourism side of things first. We put together our 2023 fiscal year book. It's hot off the press, so I delivered it to your desk this evening. But it's basically a recap of what we've done in 2023, as well as our budget items for the fiscal year that we're currently in. So just to give you a little recap, inside the book on page 2 and 3 is our 2023 through 2025 strategic plan. The visitor committee meets about every 3 years, and we put together our strategies that we want to tackle, both small and large. And I can tell you that in there, we have made steps and developed the first area of our cooperative marketing programs that we have with a few of our members. Wanted to start that out and see how that went. And it's going slowly, so we're hoping to spread the word there. We also we took some of our money that we had from last year and put it into some tourism infrastructure capital grants. And I'm proud to say that we have awarded $75,000 into the community and tourism infrastructure. We gave money to the Ramsey County Fair Board for the event center. We gave the Lake Region Arts Center some funding to tackle the basic needs for the inside of the building. So whatever she needs for furniture to help get her programs going, that sort of thing. We gave the Devils Lake Park Board some funding. This was kind of in our favor as well, but it worked out. The Park Board was able to purchase 4 bounce houses, and then they will store them at the activity center, which will be used inside the activity center as well as our outdoor events citywide. They won't be rented out unless they rent something inside for activity space, but it'll be for any of our downtown events, our tourism events. So you'll see the bounce houses at Rib Fest, Crazy Days, Fall Festival. Like I said, anything that they want to utilize inside the activity center, which I think is a win-win, because after about 3 of our events, it'll have paid for itself. They're really expensive to bring in from like Fargo. So we're excited to partner with them on that. And then we gave money on the chamber side for the community Christmas tree, which is ordered. So like I said, we were excited that we were able to do some grants in the area as far as tourism infrastructure. We continue to advocate for the event and activity space. We've built existing working relationships, and we continue to move on that, supporting conferences and sporting activities. We really saw an influx with Park Board and high school activities. We help sponsor those, help get the rooms that they need, and give money for some of those special events as well. So those are nice added income to our tax revenue base throughout those weekends. And then we are continuing to develop some of our relocation information that goes out, partnering on the chamber side of our activities as well. 2023, we saw record tax collections for our fiscal year. We were up about $23,000 compared to where we were at the previous year, which was a record the previous year. So all in all, our tourism with our restaurant and lodging tax for county and city is going over quite well, thanks to our outdoor market. And again, we saw an influx in those sporting events as well. We did have a decrease in our advertising budget in 2023. You'll notice that in our profit and loss. Again, that was a little bit on purpose because we put that money into the tourism capital grants. But I can say a lot of the advertising, though, stayed the same, even though the budget items were cut. And that's a big thank you to our advertising partners for working with us for a year to give us a break on some of those advertising spaces that we put out. There's a little more of an overview on page 12 that just talks kind of some of our marketing efforts. We have attended the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show, the new Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo in Oshkosh. We went to Boise, Idaho for the International Roundup, which is a a 5-state conglomeration that really goes after some of those international markets. I've talked to you guys about that in the past. Even though it's an international market, we've really boosted our partnerships on Highway 2 and pushed out some different itineraries going through the state of North Dakota, up from Fargo onto Highway 2. So we partnered with Grand Forks, us, and Minot to push out different things to do in our area of the state, as well as the Peace Gardens. We attended the Association for Great Lakes Outdoor Writers Conference in Bemidji last September, and we'll be heading to Kentucky this year. And new on our docket coming up in May is the Professional Outdoor Media Association Conference that we'll be attending as well. That Agolo Conference is one that we are going to keep on our radar. I'm hoping with Kyle's new event center out at Woodland Resort, we'll be able to host that one in our backyard sometime in the near future. So we're going to keep on doing that. And our pro staff team that we incorporated a couple of years ago has been doing really well for us. We pulled 4 people in, a guy from Wisconsin, and then some local guys here to help us with our promotions, pushing the word out for anything outdoor related, and they're doing a great job with their fishing reports and such. And then on the kind of both sides of the realm, I was asked in September to moderate the Tourism Development Panel for the Greater North Dakota Chamber Policy Summit. So it was nice to get out in front of the state to talk about tourism infrastructure again. Back in July, I've got some Google stats in there for you. They changed to what's called G4, but basically Google changed the way they are pulling in all of their data and basically giving it to you. So we're still working through those efforts a little bit. It's a little bit different than how we used to report, and that's on page 15. But you can see our mobile users on our website continue to be the strongest at over 55%. And we have had 287,000 plus page views on our website in 2023. You'll notice a dip in that from our years past, but we launched a new website back in November of 2022. So that really shifted how our website works. We used to have page after page after page, so you'd have to click through to get through on our website. Now it's all kind of rolls really nice into one page at a time. And so you can see a lot of different things on our website with having to go through those different pages. And so even though you see a dip on that, I still think 287,000 page views is really good for Devil's Lake.
At number 4, Dallas for the top 15 cities. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I think Dallas, Texas is looking Devil's Lake, North
Yeah.
Dakota. You know,
Minneapolis and Chicago continue to be our top couple.
even
And then,
Columbus,
it's
Ohio.
kind of neat how it shifts. Page 18 will show the fiscal year budget that we're currently in, and it'll show you where we're spending a lot of our advertising dollars. Again, we try and do the big mix of traditional media and be at as many places as we can. And then our miscellaneous budget, just so that doesn't scare you because it's a pretty large percentage, that's basically a little bit of everything. So like Northland Outdoors is put in there in that category because we're on blog postings and podcasts and radio and television. So it's kind of a mix of everything. So that kind of gets thrown into our miscellaneous. And then we hosted a large media event last May, inviting media influencers and writers from all over the United States, and we're doing that again this May. So that's kind of tourism in a nutshell. Entertain any questions if you have any.
Great job.
We're just lucky to have you.
Wonderful job. Nicely done.
Yeah, I always like to showcase our photography. We bring them in 2 to 3 times a year, and it's great to be able to use that content and then share it with our partners as well.
Next year for your picture, can you smile a little more?
That's not me. Oh yeah, my head top. I know, and I'm looking up at the sky.
Oh, anybody have any questions?
That's great.
If not, along with Susie's visit too, it's first and second quarters due of $12,500.
Yes, and I have an update for you on the chamber side of things as well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, that's okay. Just to give you just a little recap of what we've been doing since October. We've hosted 3 business after hours with the Chamber of Commerce. We've had 4 grand openings and ribbon cuttings. We've attended 6 business open houses, and we've held 2 network events, one at the VFW and the other one for Christmas at the Arts Center. And we brought back the Chamber Ambassador program this year. Kind of took a little hiatus with COVID, and saw a need to bring that back. So we have a great ambassador team that's been out to all the businesses, incorporating all these business after hours and ribbon cutting. So it's been really great.
So I wonder what your mayor's doing outside there when he's
Yes.
gotten up, being, running around to a lot of events. Thanks, Susie.
You've been a great partner on that. Thank you. Our educational programs, which is our Coffee and Collaborate, is going strong. Since October, we've hosted free classes on cybersecurity, apprenticeships, social media. We had the Department of Commerce here on Find the Good Life and their new immigration division. And we hosted a day-long event called Lead Local with the NDSU Extension to try and find and train local leaders for our different committees and boards that we have in the area. We are done with our education for right now, and we'll continue that again and bring that back this fall with some more programming. We had our 97th annual meeting at the Elks Club in October, and we gave away 5 community awards to great businesses and business leaders in the community. As far as events, we hosted the annual holiday showcase, which I think had record numbers this year in November, the Egg Roundup Lunch, and Shiverfest in February. We're currently busy planning our busy event season. The Downtown Beer Crawl, we took that over from the Downtown Alliance, and that'll be May 3rd. Tickets will go on sale on April 10th. We're working with Stan on Devil's Run, May 31st through June 2nd. Devil's Lake Tourism is partnering with the fire department to host this, the spouse event on June 7th. So we have them lined up to go up to Starkweather or Webster to the school, and then bring them back downtown for some shopping and entertainment there. We have the Chamber Walleye Tournament on June 21st. We have Rib Fest on July 13th. We're taking over Crazy Days and starting to plan that on Saturday, August 3rd. Our annual Chamber Golf Tournament, if any of you want to be a part of that, is August 16th. Mark your calendar. And then our Wine Walk will be on September 12th. So a lot of events coming up in the near future. We've also started our little planning committee for the Christmas celebration, which will be on November 30th. Update from Allison, the tree is ordered, should be here sometime in May. We'll need a place to put it.
We'll find you a place to put it.
Okay, thank you.
And somebody to put it up, right?
Okay, yep, we already have that tackled. I made lots of promises, or he made lots of promises. And then I also gave you on your desk a new, we rolled out our new membership packets just to showcase to businesses, new and if they've been members before, of what all of the chamber membership does for the community. So please take that, and welcome to join any of our activities that we have going on. We'd love to see you out. We have hired, we have a new event coordinator starting on May 13th, and our marketing coordinator will be starting on July 1st. Both ladies are formerly from Devil's Lake and are moving back to the area. So I did not steal them from anybody. They're coming back. So
Way to recruit.
right? Yeah, it's pretty excited. Since October 1st, just a quick little update on our chamber bucks. For this go around, we have given out over $18,000 in chamber bucks to different businesses and people coming into the chamber. A lot of that money came out through the Christmas season. A lot of companies and corporations came in and bought a lot of dollars to give out to their staff. So excited to see that money stay local. And I think we have over 150 businesses that take the chamber bucks.
Do the banks still offer loans and chamber dollars for Christmas season?
No, that got a little tough when all kind of the loan requirements switched over. So they're not doing the Christmas City cash anymore, but just doing the chamber bucks instead.
Okay.
Yep. On the legislative side, we've signed on with the statewide coalition as a Chamber of Commerce, the lead local regarding property tax. So we'll be sending out more information there. And again, I talked relocation efforts on the tourism side, but we are launching a new program this year called the Devil's Lake Navigators. kind of like the ambassadors, except it'll be more one-on-one, trying to help with some of those relocation efforts. So if somebody is interested in moving to Devil's Lake, or you are a business trying to recruit somebody for one of the positions that you have open, we can do what would be like a community match. So we would kind of get a gain for what their interests are in the community and partner them up with somebody to give a tour, talk through everything that we have to offer here in the community. Once they accept the job, kind of their person that they know here in town, hopefully can take them out for coffee, see how it's going, just try and get them more acclimated with the community and enjoy living here. So we'll have more information on that coming out soon. So other than that, we truly support the support that you give us with the Chamber of Commerce and appreciate the dollars that you help fund. And if you have any questions on that side.
All good. Well, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mayor.
Motion by Commissioner Hamry,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pierce. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Robbins.
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce.
Aye.
Commissioner Hamry.
Aye.
Commissioner Hash.
Aye.
President Moe.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner portfolios. We'll start with Commissioner Hamry.
Mr. Grassberg. Just as far as utilities, lead service line inventory, we want to make sure we take every opportunity to get out to the public. We really need their help in completing the lead service line inventory. That's a requirement from EPA through the Department of Environmental Quality.
What's your percentage at? Can you see what percentage have completed it and haven't? I mean, compared to what you should have?
Well, I won't say what should have, but the percentage isn't as high as we would like it. You know, when you start looking at 2,500 service lines or somewhere thereabouts, we have a long ways to go. And for us, we really would like to get a significant portion of that complete before spring, because as soon as we get into summer, we have water main replacements and we have all kinds of other projects going on. And then staff allocation changes a little bit. So, you know, tell anybody and everybody, please go on to our website, dblnd.com. There's a link there. They can do it all from that site. And if somebody doesn't want to do anything, all they have to do is call City Hall and we can take care of everything for them. We just need access to the water meter.
And to answer your question, when I was down at the League of Cities, we were leaps and bounds ahead of already pretty much every city in North Dakota, because Mr. Grassgard already had a plan and they were already implementing it, and other cities were scrambling, trying to figure out what, where, and how they were going to do this.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot of people grumbling that with falsities that go out on the internet, they're not going to do it. It's up to us. Why is it up to us? You know, that sort of thing. And it's like, no, we got to get the word out there that this is required. You guys will go out and do it if needed, but to please do it yourself if you can, you know. So just negativity is normal.
Yeah, I would hope, to me, it should be a positivity kind of thing, because we're just gathering information.
Yeah.
And once you have information, then you can formulate good plans and strategies like Commissioner Hamry had mentioned. But without having the information, you can't put together the plan and strategize on how to do it most efficiently and effectively for us, because we're not New York. We're not Clinton, Michigan. We are Devils Lake, North Dakota. And so our approach to some problems can be different, and it works for us and it doesn't work for others. So to complete the assessment, I think is the first step, and we'll get there. But any help that we could get from the public would be beneficial. That's all I have, Commissioner.
That's all I got, Mayor, unless you guys got questions.
Okay. Commissioner Hatch.
Mike?
Just an update on sanitation. I've been working with the sanitation supervisor a little bit related to residential garbage collection and how we can do some things there as far as efficiency, how our recycling program's going. And we're just exploring a lot of different options there. You know, it's very difficult to get the help that we need. You know, I think the commission's aware, it seems like we always have positions open in Public Works. And so as part of that process, we'll go through some of the numbers and things. And at some future commission meeting, I think we'll bring forward some recommendations. And some of the information that we're reviewing is the possibility of going to an automated type collection system where you'd have cans and automated trucks, the one-armed bandit, so to speak. And see if that improves some efficiencies and how that could work for us. Many communities are going to it just because it offers so many benefits. So we'll be evaluating that, and as soon as we have some more information, we'll be bringing it forward for the commission to review. And right now, the collection is still out in the boulevards, so until further notice. That's all I have for sanitation.
Thank you.
I just want to remind the commission that we have a Board of Equalization meeting is in 2 weeks on the 15th at 5 o'clock. I did send out notices of increases just over a week ago. It would encourage anyone that's received those that would like to maybe talk about it or has any questions about it, to please get a hold of me. I'd much rather deal with them before the Board of Equalization meeting so that we can come to some sort of resolution if there are some concerns on it. Or if someone's approaching you on it, please refer them to me so that we can talk through it. Other than that, that's all I've got.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay.
Everything? Supposed to be everything?
That's it.
Okay, Mr. Robbins.
Mike, anything in streets?
In streets, we have the trifecta operations going on right now. Street sweeping is a priority in the spring, so we're working on street sweeping. We're working on pothole patching and working on crack sealing. And so you'll see crews out and about working on those things. We just ask the public to, when you see workers working on the street, slow down, be careful. Just, make sure that you're using extra caution as you're in that environment. Our guys are working as safely and quickly as they can, but they just need a little bit of room. And please, when you're going past some utility crews or street crews, slow down and just pay extra attention. We would ask that. And we ask for the city's cooperation and patience as we work through some of the things that we have to get done, because there's a long list of crack sealing that we have to get through this year. So there's many, many roadways that we're going to be on about putting oil on. That's all I have for streets, unless you have questions.
Nope. Engineering?
There's a few items on the agenda for engineering. One thing I just want to make sure I bring to the commission's attention. This year alone, community the size of Devil's Lake, 7,500 people, we're working on $7.5 million worth of infrastructure improvements. We have a $4 million project that's in the southeast part of the city for a very much needed street improvement there. We have about a $2.5 million project over on the west side, west of College Drive and south of 14th Street, northwest. And then we have about $1 million left in water main replacement. So it's going to be a very busy year as far as construction and infrastructure improvements. And much of that, I thank the commission for the support with sales tax and the infrastructure improvements. It wasn't that long ago where many of our roadways in town were in very, very poor shape. And we're not there yet. We have a ways to go, but
We're a long ways.
we've come a long ways.
Yes.
And much of that is because of the support the commission has given and the emphasis on infrastructure improvements with the utilization of sales tax. So I thank you for that. That's all I have for engineering, unless you have questions.
That's all I have. Anybody have any questions?
I got one for you, Mike. I was hit up on road improvement, and they weren't so worried about the assessment, but what they had an issue with was if they did it over 15 years, the interest that would be added to that assessment, that would be paid back to the city.
What is the question? They're just concerned about
That pretty much you're taking city money, you're doing the road, you're assessing them, whether it's 300, 1,500, but then you're also adding interest to that payment.
in many cases, the city has to borrow the money as well. And so I'll let the city administrators speak to that, the actual financing portion of it.
I would say traditionally, the city has always levied an interest on top of it. You can come pay it right away, zero interest, or its standard number has been 4%. And looking at it right now, the recommendation in the future will probably be that 4%. It was that 4% when interest rates were 1-2%, and now interest rates are 8% around, and the recommendation will still be 4. So I would say it was inherited, and I think it's standard practice, and it'll probably be recommended again. But again, you pay it all in full, you don't pay the interest. I think it's also a time value of money thing. We're assessing this, but then if we don't get it over 15 years, there's lost potential with the money that if we were to receive it right away, we would be able to put it in the market, gain interest, those sorts of things. So,
I'll tell them to call you.
gotcha.
Thanks.
You know, with the special assessments, I can say that, you know, in some cases, we have very large projects and we're using a variety of funding mechanisms. You know, we're accessing federal funds, we're using tax increment finance, we're using sales tax revenues, and with that all together to try and make that project as affordable for the homeowners as we can. And when you look at the special assessments, right, because we send out the probable assessment, and we sent out hundreds of probable assessments. And for the projects that we're doing this year, I have two official protests out of hundreds of probable assessments that were sent out.
Yeah, it wasn't the probable assessment. It was the interest that was added to the probable assessment that they had a question on.
My understanding is, you know, sometimes we have to sell bonds, right? And so we're paying interest, and then there's a little uptick from that, like 1.5% over what we're having to pay to cover that cost for the time value of money, so to speak. But that's been the standard practice, and I think it's standard practice everywhere. But the actual assessments are, they're been very reasonable.
Would you say it's a fair statement that most people just carry it for the term, or do many people come in and pay it off all at once?
It's a good mix. There are a substantial number of people that come in and pay it off right away. But there are some that play it out. And I think, you know, in talking about the interest, anytime anybody's able to amortize payments up, there's usually
What's the cost
a
involved?
little interest on top of that, whether it's a bank or credit union or anything. So,
I don't think you can borrow money anywhere without paying interest.
Well, I mean, the other side of it was, well, if you're using sales tax money, they've already been taxed and that money's in there. If you're using property tax money, they've already been taxed there. I mean, every time you turn around, there's some sort of a tax that's being implemented on something.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
well,
you know, that's,
for sure.
so, but I just told
Tax
them
on
I'd bring it
tax
up
on tax.
and ask, so.
Okay. Let's see where I'm at. Commissioner Pierce.
Keep it.
So this month, we will only have 2 people traveling out of state. We had 3 people last month get out of state travel approved. Flights didn't work out for one of the trainings, so we'll only have 2 this month. Later this month, on April 20th and the 27th, we'll be hosting 2 trainings. One will be a regional, be a live fire training, so the NDFA will be sending people up also to help instruct. We'll have some of our paid guys there helping instruct, and then some of the volunteers are gonna come in and help instruct with that. On April 20th, we'll be doing a structural collapse training. Williston's gonna come over and do a class with us with that, the old hotel down there by Ironhide. So they're gonna come in, kind of give us a rundown on how to shore up and different things like that. We don't actually get to wreck anything per se, but we'll get the gist of setting things up, so.
Do we have an idea when that's scheduled to come down? Anybody?
I believe it's after our training.
Oh,
They're gonna try and get it done after our training's done. Yep.
I think April 25th was the date. I heard that.
Uh,
Sometime after that.
Did you know a hard date?
First, starting in May.
May 1st? Yeah, I think they were trying to get some logistics figured out for the asbestos and stuff like that.
okay.
That's what I understood as well.
Yep, so. And I have one other item that we brought up in the new business, so.
Any word on that? Did that house, the caught on fire on Kelly Avenue, did that get sold to somebody, or is there any plans to take that?
I don't know if that
Anything?
got sold to anybody yet. I was gonna get a hold of Ramsey County and find out if that's been sold, who bought it, so we can get a nuisance letter to them.
Because I've been getting a lot of questions on people on that avenue, what's going on with this
Yep.
building?
Well, you gotta watch it too, that plywood on the front now is starting to get loose. I chased a couple middle schoolers out of there.
Yeah.
That were,
So,
Just wanted to see if there was any word heard about it.
yep, we'll check on that.
And then I'll go over some of the LEC stuff here on the next
Okay.
That's all I have for you, Mayor.
Good, thank you. Okay, Chief,
Everything's going good. We just had a new youngster start
I saw it
today.
on Facebook.
Josh
Yeah.
Huspey, yeah. So he's from Bismarck. And other than that, we're going strong.
He's a newbie from Bismarck?
Correct? Yeah, he had worked at the state pen for about a year and a half.
Oh,
He's
what
from-
brought him this direction?
My Facebook post actually brought him here. He was shared that from one of his friends, and he's got some connections to the area. He likes to hunt, fish, camp. So
Okay, perfect.
he wanted to come here. So we're more than happy to have him.
He's all licensed.
He is, yep, limited license. He's going to go to LEAD at the Law Enforcement Training Academy, starting on June 3rd, and that runs through August 23rd. And he'll be back here for a little.
All right. At all?
Yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Spencer?
I remember when members of the commission, just one quick thing, got confirmation from Moody's that our bond rating was confirmed at an A2. So
Me too.
a little relief to me, given the timeline of everything and kind of going up against the wire with all the reporting and everything. 2021 audit was done. We sent it to them. They confirmed the rating, and so on to the next year.
Is that as high as it can go?
No, it can go much higher. It can go much lower. It can go much higher and it can go much lower.
Oh, okay.
But just given the size of the community, the level of economic development here, there are limits for us.
Okay. Okay. That it?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions? If not, we'll move on. Old business, we have the LEC Joint Powers Agreement, and Spencer, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Jason, or
I would just say, I spoke with the city attorney on Wednesday. Had he come to the meeting, he said he was going to recommend approving it. I think there was a language about you guys had a question about the per diem. The per diem is standard language. It's not per diem in the way that we think, right? For specific meals and all sorts of things. It's basically the cost for service for housing an inmate. So it'll recommend approval on that front. And then there was questions on the financing portion with the LEC board. What he relayed to me was that we have 2 members on that LEC board, which should be able to be, informed advocates for the city on that board. And if there are questions, then saying, hey, I got to take it back to my board and we got to talk about this. Commissioner Pearson, you guys talked at the LEC board meeting. Could you enlighten us to that conversation?
Yeah, that was pretty much the same conversation. It's basically just protection for the LEC as I don't want to say business, but as an organization. But as I spoke with Attorney Junker today as well, he stated the same, that you or I, whoever's on the board at the time, would be able to say, or any of the other counties on the board would be able to go, okay, time out. Let's talk about this because our budget's already done.
Correct.
So it's been approved by all other counties. And after speaking with the LEC county and Jack, I think my recommendation would be to approve, get it done with.
Is that a motion from you?
Yeah, that would be my motion.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Pearson.
It's protection for them and for us as well.
I'll second that motion, Mayor.
Second by Commissioner Hamry. Any more discussion or any questions? Not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries and everybody will be happy now, right?
Yes.
All right.
Thing done. On to the next.
Okay. Next item, consent agenda. We have nothing at this time. We'll go into new business. First item on the new business is approval of an agreement for aerial mosquito spraying, which hopefully we won't have mosquitoes this year, right? Mike?
We always hope that, Mayor. Every year we bring this forward to the commission for review. About this time, the applicator has to get approval from the state for doing the aerial spraying. And so at this time, we ask the city commission to grant approval. If you look at the second page of the document, it's the authorization application. And we allow Vector Disease Control International LLC to get the approval and grant them approval for doing the aerial spraying. It doesn't commit us to doing anything, doesn't say we're doing any aerial spraying, but it's a step in that process where they have to get approval to complete the spraying. And then they submit the paperwork to the state. Then they're ready to go if and when we need them this summer.
Refresh
Typically,
my
we look
memory,
at
what did it cost us last year?
it's very close. It hasn't gone up very
So it
much.
hasn't-
It's near
similar,
that
it's not-
$9,000 mark.
Did we spray it all last year?
We did
Few
not.
times.
I didn't think so.
The numbers didn't justify completing the spraying last
I
year.
just want to make sure it didn't
Yeah.
go up because of cost of chemical or something, that it would go sky high on us.
There's always a little bit of an increase, but it isn't anything that's out of the ordinary here. So at this point, we just need to allow them to be able to do it. They'll submit the application for aerial spraying application for pesticide over a city. They'll do the paperwork, get that submitted to the state. If and when we need them, we will. I think we have 2 aerial sprayings in the budget. Typically, it's one around the 4th of July, one around Labor Day, but we'll see what happens with the counts.
We,
That's required.
since we didn't spray last year, did we bank that money in case we wanted to do an extra spray for something?
It just goes into our general fund reserves, right? So, we overspend in this category and we underspent in this category, and at the end, if there's a delta and we bring in more than we make, it goes into the reserves. So, yeah, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement for the aerial mosquito spraying.
Commissioner Robbins,
Second.
Commissioner Pierce. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Second item, approval of the 2024 county blading agreement. Mike?
I included with your packet is a map and the expenses associated with utilizing the county for completing some blading for gravel roadways within and adjacent to the city that the city is responsible for maintenance with. You look at all the numbers of bladings on the particular maps and the different locations. Total for the agreement is $6,547.20. It really allows us to free up manpower for completing other things. And honestly, I don't know that we can complete the blading, bring our blade in from out at the airport and complete all the blading for that amount of money. So I think it's a very good deal for us. And it works out well for the county too, because in some cases they're coming to a point and then rather than them turning around, they just have to continue blading another short distance and then they would take care of the roadways that we need maintenance for. Some of the roadways we may be working on this summer. So we're only paying for the bladings that happen. If we get, for instance, if we open bids May 15th for the Stromquist area, and that particular contractor comes there and starts working right away, and we aren't blading those roadways, we don't pay for blading. That doesn't happen.
What happens if I see it's good, you got it on here that there's one scheduled 18 times, one scheduled 6 times. What if that 6th time, they need a 7th for some reason? Does that get added on or is that just, you know what I mean? If they go out and do it another time?
Yeah, you pay for the extra bladings. And it might be that the 18 times we don't get to, right? That's fairly excessive.
Yeah.
But we're trying to be good partners with the townships as well. So some, in some particular cases like the landfill road, we know that we're putting the vast majority of the traffic there, but the township, some folks living in the township utilize that roadway as well. So we try and do the extent practical that we can for the price.
Yeah, Port Road, could you send them to training on that? I mean, they're digging way down in those curves, making it hold water big time out there.
At what roadway?
The one that goes from Highway 19 to the end of the dike.
Oh, the airport roadway.
Yeah.
That is our dike. We put a gravel road on top of our dike there.
Yeah.
I can have conversations with the county.
Tell him to lift his blade down there or something, but yeah, I mean, it's digging in big on those curves and snow and water and either see if they can slow up or do something with those rumble strips too. They do a good job at leaving them.
We'll have a conversation. Kevin,
$6,000 for my car to fall apart.
recommend approval of the agreement.
Making a motion to approve the agreement for blading.
Commissioner Pierce,
I'll second.
second by Hatch. Commissioner. Any further discussion?
Oh, just one quick thing. How's 14th holding up? I haven't been out there for several months. 14th Street?
Oh, since you quit,
I
yeah.
haven't had a reason, but is that looking like it might be, we're gonna let it go a couple of years before we think about doing anything else to it?
we did program, if there's funds available, we program for some, through our urban roads pot, utilization of federal money to try and get that thing paved. And we're trying to move it up on the schedule a little bit, potentially even up to next year.
Okay. But did it hold up? Like I say, I don't know if I can't remember driving on it. Just went
I haven't driven
once.
There was some washboard that had developed on 14th Street. I did meet our own blade operator up there and pulled out the plan sheets. This is the typical cross section. Here's what we're after, and kind of laid it all out, and he did a very good job. But sometimes you're out blading a road and you don't understand the super, when you're going into super, how one end starts to tip and what that slope is. You're just out there doing, the roadway, and you take a little this time, a little next time. And so, but I walked through it with our blade operator, and it worked out very well. We want to make sure that we keep the road narrow, keep the gravel where the gravel needs to be, rather than have a very wide road. We want a narrow road with a lot of gravel rather than a wide road with a little gravel. So we're trying to emphasize that.
Any other questions? All in favor of this agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Item number 3, street improvement number 79-24. There was insufficient protest for 17th Street Southeast, 16th Street Southeast, 16th Street Southeast, 8th Avenue and Southeast, and 10th Avenue Southeast. So
Recommend approval of the resolution.
they were recommended.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion by Commissioner Hamry,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hatch. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 4, street improvement 79-24. Approved plans for 17th Street Southeast, 16th Street Southeast, 16th Street Southeast, 8th Avenue Southeast, 10th Avenue Southeast.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Robbins,
Second.
Commissioner Pierce. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 5, street improvement number 80-24, insufficient protest for 8th Street Northwest, 9th Street Northwest, 10th Street Northwest, 11th Street Northwest. What's the etc. for, Mike? ETC.
There's numerous avenues and roadways.
That are gonna be
List them
included?
all.
Okay,
They got too lengthy for the title.
okay.
For all the roadways that we're working on. In that particular district, we had 2 out of hundreds of probables. I think it was 100, I can't remember, 150 or thereabouts. So, but we did have 2 official protests.
What was their issue? Were they protesting? What was their issue?
Money, level of benefit.
Okay, what's the wishes of the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Robbins,
Second.
Commissioner Pierce. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 6, street improvement number 80-24. Approved plans for 8th Street Northwest, 9th Street Northwest, 10th Street Northwest, 11th Street Northwest,
etc. So
etc. Yes.
with approval of the plans and directing advertisement for bids, in order to meet some of the timelines, it doesn't line up to open the bids at a standard city commission meeting. We're looking at having that bid opening on April 25th at noon. Whether or not the commission, typically we open bids at a city commission meeting, we don't have to. If the city commission would like to have a meeting that day, it would be a short meeting, open bids. We'd know where we're at, and then we would make recommendation at the following commission meeting as far as the award. I just throw that for the commissions for consideration, but right now we're looking at an April 25th bid opening at noon. If anybody can
Seems to
make
make
it.
sense.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Robbins,
I'll second.
Commissioner Pierce. Any further discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 7, city attorney contract discussion and direction. As I think everybody's aware, our city attorney submitted his resignation, and I guess now we have to look into what we want to decide to do to replace him. So open it up for discussion. Spencer?
Same, Mayor Moser. I do apologize that the agenda item got a little confusing there towards the end of the week. Originally, we were going to talk about, whether we wanted to renegotiate, continue with the current agreement, or open it up again for release a request for qualifications. Had a good conversation on Wednesday with the city attorney. It was pretty productive and informative, and 24 hours later, he submitted his resignation. So have some questions, I'm sure. But regardless, at the end of the day, there's an RFQ before you to release for seeking city attorney services before you.
Did you reach out to him after I sent the email?
I did. Via email, yes.
Via email?
Yes.
See, in my line of work, if I have an employee quit on me, especially my city attorney, it's going to be a phone call or in person to see what's happening here. An email to me is very unprofessional, or, we'll just find another one.
Well, he had his secretary email his resignation to us.
This is what I would say. I talked to him Wednesday. It was a very good conversation. I felt like we were aligned on the direction, and we were going to have a good discussion here today. 24 hours later, without a word, letter of resignation was sent via email. Friday, sent him an email, say, hey, do you want to talk or expand upon the email? Haven't heard back.
So that's what all employees that put their resignation and gets an email just to see if they want to talk.
I think he knew that I would be receptive to talking, given the fact that the last time I spoke to him was Wednesday at 4 p.m.
So then my other question is then, so we were going to have him come tonight with everything that's on the agenda and possibly look at either keeping him, putting out RFQs, or renegotiating. So we were going to put him under a gauntlet of questions.
Well, no, that was not the intent. And I had the conversation with him in advance. The intent was, so the city has appointed officers, city attorney, city auditor, city engineer. All of them are reappointed every 2 years by the city commission. Now, the code states, department heads aren't to be relieved unless there is cause. Okay. Well, the city attorney is not a city employee. We have a contract with them. Contract states that either party can give an intent to terminate 30 days in advance. So it's been 2 years. July 1st, we have our organizational meeting. I was just bringing it forward to the commission to say, hey, do you guys want to continue? Do you guys want to renegotiate? And do you guys want to release an RFQ? And I think it would be in the best interest of the city commission to ask a question of, hey, should we renegotiate? Because we do have a retainer for $100,000. Okay. And I said, well, how many hours do you think that you have worked here for the city of Devils Lake, right? And would it be in the best interest of the city to move towards an hourly rate? He said, yeah, I'll work up the hours. I actually think it levels out. It's about even. But I'll work up that information to be able to answer that question. And so at the end of the day, bring it before the commission so that they can make a determination as to what they want to see with their city attorney services. And it was about every 2 years, we have the city organizational meeting. If it was the desire of the city commission to release an RFQ, this would be the time to do so.
So
that's why it was brought before you.
So in that packet, we had basically everything. I mean, the contract, everything.
Yes.
But in that we had no information for us to process on any of his hours or anything. And you talked to him on Wednesday, you said?
I talked to him on Wednesday. I had communicated he was out of state. I said, well, because it was a conversation I wanted to have in person with him. So we had a conversation in person. He goes, oh yeah, it'd be pretty easy to work up. If they have a question, we can have that good conversation. And it was I consider it a very good and productive conversation. And I felt leaving the conversation very well.
So Wednesday you talked to him. Thursday he would have time to get his information. Friday, nobody worked. So pretty much he had one
Commissioner
one
Hammer,
day.
if you're going to question my professionalism throughout this process, okay, I'm going to stand by my professional record and how I handled it. Period.
Well, that's good. You handle it if it's my job to question.
Yep, and I'm answering it.
And that's good.
Okay.
So.
Yep. At the end of the day, I stand by what I did and the process I took and how I communicated.
So then with that, then I'm gonna go into my next question here, looking at the proposals here. That's pretty quick timeline.
What are you getting at, Shane? I mean, it was his choice.
Oh, it's his choice, but I'm also looking at April 18th is the request. Proposal due date, May 3rd, May 6th, May 10th, May, so in less than a month, we're able to put another city attorney down.
How long would the city commission like to be without a city attorney?
That's what I'm just wondering, because we
Because
pretty
it's
much
a
got all
month.
of
The
May.
proposal I worked up is a month for RFQs, 4 or 5 days to review the applications and select applicants. Given what we've seen for applications for the last city attorney process, plus what we see for employees, I'm sure it's going to be, I would be happy if we saw 3 proposals.
Yeah.
Which we can review, and then we would outline a week of which you guys can interview. And then at the May 15th city commission meeting, you could award a contract or negotiate with an attorney, a law firm or person.
And I talked to Jack a little bit today as well, and I think he's in a good space. I think from my conversation, he said if we needed him to stick around a little longer, he'd be willing to do that. The only thought I have is you had the conversation with him. I don't know, are we gonna have the conversation with the fire chief or the police chief or anything like that? I mean, was that up on the table for exam as well?
Yeah, so I would say the city attorney is distinct and different from the other department heads, to include the administrator position. The administrator and the police chief, fire chief, city assessor, city engineer, city auditor, they are appointed officers, right? The city code says not to be relieved of their duties without cause, okay? The city attorney is not a city employee. He is we have a contract with him, like external services.
And
that's why once every 2 years, I'm just calling the question of, that was what the question was going to be.
And I don't think you had any illegitimate thoughts. It's just when I was talking to him, I said, I don't recall having this conversation when Tom was here. It just kind of went. And so just new people, new processes, new thoughts. But I mean, when Tom was here, I think it was just kind of assumed.
Well, in Spencer's defense, he asked me if we should pursue that, and I did agree, because that's how it was spelled out, that we recognize and identify these issues. I said, it doesn't hurt to have a conversation to see if he wants to pursue that, or if he wants to do something different, or whatever. Not expecting a resignation. That wasn't any of the planned talk. It was just supposed to, a contract employee, have a discussion with him whether or not he, things are going well, or if he's.
How did we do our contract with our cleaning personnel? Was that negotiated?
Well, you're talking a professional here
There's a
with a
different
serious
dollar
amount
amount
of
associated with
dollars.
each one of these.
Well, no, it's not. It's a contract person.
Well, they get renewed. I mean, those
Yep.
contractors
And
are renewed.
I was just wondering, did you talk prior? Because I know he was looking for an increase.
We gave him a cost, yeah.
Okay, so that was done prior to a meeting.
We brought it to the city commission, a 3% increase cost of living, which
Yeah,
hadn't
you
previously
brought
been.
that, but we didn't bring him to a meeting.
Would you
for
like
questions.
the maintenance personnel to come to the city commission meeting?
I mean, so the
It's
negotiations were done prior.
It's $680 a month versus $100,000 a year. Those are the two differences between the two costs.
Oh.
If that's what the commission wants to spend their time talking about, we'll happily arrange it. We will happily do it. And one of them is an appointed officer in city code, the other is not.
And that was a point that I wasn't taking into account, so you explained it.
Nobody expected, this was unexpected by everybody here, as I believe, including Spencer.
It came as a surprise to me.
So now the question is, what are we gonna do for 30 days or so without?
Well, apparently we might have the ability to use him, or.
He made it sound to me like you'd be willing to. The other thing he suggested is that they would be willing to visit about just if his office could maintain the civil process stuff. If we're looking for somebody else out there that may not want to deal with that. He said, here's a thought, I'll throw this at you. If we can help you out, we'll take care of the civil stuff and somebody else can do whatever else.
Do we actually know how many,
Criminal side?
does anybody had a talk with them on how many hours they've done on any of the criminal side or anything?
That was part of the conversation we had on Wednesday. You know, out of respect for your Uncle Lawfirm, I mean, I don't want to definitively, but it was in that a little bit over half, right? Is the city prosecutor side versus the city attorney side. And that was also an option too, is if that the city can split the city prosecutor and the city attorney positions and the responsibilities between two law firms if they really wanted to. This city hasn't traditionally done it. Other cities have. It's an option on the table.
It's not like we have a lot of city attorneys here in town that are able to fill in, so.
So I did get some numbers. So since January 1st, 2023, they've done 438 cases. July 2022, they took over 642. So if you take those cases versus the state indigent rate of $400, that is $256,800 on criminal alone. If they billed the actual rate for the city alone, it would be over $67,000 for the lawyer, $64,000 for the para, and that's not all the billing, because everything's flat rate, calls, walk-ins, that stuff.
But that's why we bid it out and he makes a proposal, we accept it. And so
I would also add, right, that information in advance of this discussion could have been provided to the entire commission and put in a staff report with the recommendation of right now we have a retainer. This is what it would cost you hourly. So then it would be in the city's best interest to keep a retainer. But that information wasn't provided or communicated to the entire commission, just one commissioner.
Because I asked.
Yes, and I said that that's likely to be a question coming up. And the next day,
Given
the
a
letter
day
was
for timeframe.
Shane, can I ask you what, with this line of questioning, what are you insinuating?
I'm
What's the
insinuating
point
why,
you're trying to get
if this was going to be coming on to the commission or the agenda. So they get talked to Jack gets talked to on Wednesday.
because he was out of state. And I sent him a text message earlier in the week saying, hey, can we talk? He says, I will. And he says, I'll be back on Wednesday. Let's talk then. So we met on Wednesday in person.
So, but how long prior to this has this thought been to bring this forward? I mean, just because, give a little more time on information.
When did you bring it to my attention about you were going through with the
I was saying,
2-year span and
You know, whether or
he
not
went and was looking at I don't know what you were looking at. You called me and asked me if we should visit with them, whether or not we're going to, he wants to continue. And absolutely.
We're in May or April. His 2-year time coming up is in July, correct?
correct.
I would think any business owner or any HR person would think, well, it's 3 months in advance, 4 months in advance. Let's ask him what he wants to do. Do you want to continue on? What's your thoughts on this? Because it is a contract.
Well, actually, I think it was going to be asking us what we wanted to do. Because before-
going to him first,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
talk to him, saw what
Let them
his
know that
ideas
was coming
were
up
when we were
as
going.
respect.
I would also add, I would say 2 things. Number one is also what I told Jack, is it's also an opportunity for you as a firm, right? They're running a business. Okay, is the city contract something they want? Is this something they want to be doing? Are there other areas of laws they want to be? It's also an opportunity for their firm, right, to strategize with what they want to do, right? I would also add, and Commissioner Hammer, if you're suggesting that the city attorney is not getting fair treatment from the administration, right? I will put what we've done on record, defend it, because I feel like we've been straightforward with them. We've been very good with communication, and I think we've been very forthright in our conversations. And like I said, I would characterize the discussion that we had on Wednesday as a very good conversation, and I'll stand by that.
And I think I agree with that, and I would support Spencer on that. I don't think we had any malintent. None was it? So I think that was.
Kind of seems like that's what you're getting to. That's why I asked what your point was. It seems like
It's just.
it seems like you're getting to that point that there was.
That short
Well,
distance.
It had
you
to
know?
But
start
it's not really
sometime.
short if you think about it. I mean, it was, he went to him and he asked him, what are you doing? Now, okay, we're 4 months out. Let's start planning ahead on what we're going to do. Is it Jack's intent to want to renew the contract. Okay, well, we know his intent. Now let's meet what's our intent as well. That gives us the time span to do it in instead of waiting until June and going,
Yeah,
Something that's-
that timeframe is okay, but if for the information in one day, I mean, okay, maybe you gotta work over Easter to get the rest of that information, just so you've got it all here and ready for, questions, because
Yeah.
it's gonna come. I mean, we've all
wanna
got
make-
questions
I just
on
wanted to
it.
make sure that you weren't thinking that there was ill intent towards him.
If I was thinking there was ill intent, I would say
But
it.
that's what that's why I asked.
I'm
you.
pretty
I just
blunt.
wanted- but I just wanted to make sure. I mean,
Yes.
I don't believe that there was any ill will push forward to Attorney Young. I think he made his decision that he wanted to make, and I support him. I thank him. But we all, at the end of the day, have the jobs to do, and we got to do it. I think planning ahead was a great idea, so we weren't coming to June going, now what's next? Speaking with him, great doing that, seeing what he wants to do. I see and then bringing this in front of us, because it is our decision, ultimately at the end, whether we're going to renew
Retain
it
them
or, so I don't think there was any ill intent in this at all. I just think it's getting blown out of
Yeah,
proportion.
I do too, and I think it's time to move on, and make a decision on how we want to proceed.
Well, if it's, my motion here, if he turned his resignation, I think we need to protect the city, protect our interests as well, and put forward the RFQ.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Hatt. Okay, further discussion?
With putting the RFQ forward is, what are we gonna do in that lapse? What do
Well,
we
I guess
wanna?
we could have conversation with
Can I have a conversation?
any other attorney in town, or we could contact Jack and see if
I
he,
can contact Jack again.
and
Because
see if
he
he
called me
wants to.
today and we discussed the joint powers, and he told me if there's anything I needed to contact him again on this. So I think he's willing, like you said, and I'll call him and talk to him.
I just don't wanna see that we're,
Oh, absolutely.
unprotected that long.
Absolutely.
Well, didn't want to be permanent. We didn't want to anyhow. This was not expected by any of us.
So I think, okay, so I will add to my motion to approve release of the RFQ and look into what we can do within the next few months that's left, whether it would be him to cover or what our next steps would be. We'll do that all in the same motion.
Is that approval? Any questions?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Robbins?
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamry?
Aye.
Commissioner Hash?
Aye.
President Mo?
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. Last item, number 8, Air Rescue Firefighting Mission, City of Devils Lake and the Devils Lake Regional Airport. Spencer.
Mayor Mo, members of the commission, just maybe to give an update, just to start on process here. So earlier today, I had a good conversation with the airport authority members. I characterize that as a very good, productive discussion. Commissioner Pierce, correct me if I'm
I
wrong.
will
Okay.
agree with that.
It was a good, productive discussion.
And you felt walked out of there.
As far as an understanding as to what the city's looking at, okay? We're gonna brief here at the city commission meeting, provide an opportunity for commission members to ask questions, give perspectives and their thoughts. We intend to go to the full airport authority board meeting on the 8th to give a rundown and try to get full buy-in from the airport authority, because there will be a financial component for them for this. And hopefully we can come out of there with kind of a head nod and approval of the airport authority of, yes, we're willing to jump 2 feet in the pool with you guys on this. And then come to the city commission on the April 15th for a final decision for you guys.
I saw what they're approving or what they're proposing finance-wise from the airport. And I can send that out to you guys so you have a copy. We just met with them today. It was perfect, the only time we could all get together. So we'll schedule, so.
Does this, whatever decision we make tonight, will still hinder on
Airport.
airport
The
authority
airport
board.
authority, yes.
And again, not looking for a final decision tonight. Obviously, want to get you guys' professional feedback. I have, I've had passionate conversations with a couple of you, so I kind of have an idea where this conversation might go. But we want to get you guys' feedback. And I think throughout the process and going through the items, it'll become clear as to why the airport authority really just needs to be able to kind of give a thumbs up that they're willing to take a deferred revenue in direct proportion to extra responsibility that the city would take on for that mission. And that's really the crux of it. You agree that was a conversation. And so at the end of the day, we as the administration, right, we want to bring you guys solutions, not problems. Okay. And, if we don't have a firm recommendation for you in this case, we like to make sure that we're bringing to you guys agreed upon, consistent, factual information so you guys can make an informed decision. And so before we start talking about this, I would just go real quick. Baked into the finances for this proposal, it was suggested by the fire chief, the fire commissioner, and the plan that they kind of collaboratively put together that taking over the ARF mission, the added responsibility would justify a change in the assistant fire chief's grade from a 13 to a 15. What I want to do is I want to separate that totally separate and distinct away from the conversation surrounding how we can take it over, right? And if you guys read the staff report, the two options are we do it by reducing an FTE at the airport and doing it with existing fire personnel, or we reduce an FTE at the airport and we add that FTE to the city's fire department. I would like to get a direction from the commission on the 15th if we do want to take it over, how we want to do it, and then we can have that separate and distinct conversation on the 13th to the 15th for the assistant fire chief. To move into it, real quick, 3 options. Really, there's 4 options, okay? The first and the easiest option would be to have the fully paid staff and the volunteers to contract with the airport, and we would just cover the flights and the responsibility. Chief Bennett, correct me if I'm wrong, but you went and you talked to the volunteer fire department, and they said no, given the extra time, responsibility, and effort that would go into doing such a.
Correct.
Okay. So then it leaves us really with 3 options. Okay, do nothing, and like I said, lower FT at the airport. Do it with existing staff, lower an FT at the airport, rope it in, and the fire department add an FTE. Regardless of which we pick, if the city takes over the ARF mission, there's going to be extra responsibilities as far as equipment goes, as far as training goes, and as far as inspections go. So I'm going to ask the chief to give a rundown of what those are. And then there's also a dollar amount associated with those. And I would say all of those fall into 2 separate categories: startup costs and then continual costs. And I will just tell you up front, there's about $25,000 in startup costs. As far as the city's first negotiation with the airport, it was requested that they would pay that $25,000 for the startup of the takeover, should the city go in that direction. So, Mayor and Commission members, if it would please you, I'd send it over to Nate so we can talk about the equipment, the training, and the inspection regimen that's associated with the ARF mission at the airport.
Yep, so just touching on the equipment quick. The SCBA's, I believe those are coming due the same time ours are. So that would be something to look at, and that we took a good amount of time to study the ARF truck with the testing of the pump, the testing of the foam stuff, making sure everything's up to date on that. That's a big requirement of time for us. Bunker gear, we talked a little bit about that. Moving forward, I don't know that we're going to need a whole lot of bunker gear to go out there because we already have a bunker gear. Unless the FAA requires us to have the silver suits, then we'll have to revisit that.
And how about the foam? That's expensive
Yep,
stuff.
the foam, we gotta look at the foam, we gotta look at the purple K, we gotta look at, basically I tied that in with the rig. Cause it's gonna be a cost associated with.
Is it a shelf life? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it does.
Yep, and then the foam that they have out there currently, since nobody's came out with anything better, is that AFFF that causes cancer. So we gotta be very careful when handling that stuff, so. That's another issue with that out there. Hose testing is another thing that we're gonna have to do. Granted, there's not a lot of hose out there for hand lines. So we'd be able to just run that in with our stuff that we do the annual testing on. As far as training goes, it was recommended to us by the FAA to just take the whole 40-hour course over. That way it'd clean up the paperwork, clean up all the records, and basically we'd be starting over from scratch for the fire department. There's an annual live burn that we got to do every year that costs us about $4,000. There's full scale exercises that have to be done every 3 years, and I don't know the exact cost of that right offhand. I know it can get expensive, but
Depends on if it's hands-on.
don't know 100% what the full cost would have. EMR certification and then EMR continuing education hours. If personnel are not trained to that, we'd have to get them trained to that level. So the advisory circular training, there's 13 different topics that we would have to continually train on all year long. So that would be an extra burden on the fire department as far as getting those done. And then with some of those training, it also requires night operations training, just so you know what the airport's like in the middle of the night. With that, there's also some airport-specific training that we would have to do. So, yeah, the training, there's quite a bit that'll be involved in that. And then as far as the inspections program, moving forward, we would just take over the inspections program. There's 14 structures. There's 2 private fuel farms. There's 2 mobile refuelers. And then there is commercial refueling islands. There's 2 of those. So we would, already being the authority having jurisdiction out there, they were doing the inspections and stuff underneath the umbrella of the fire department. So we would just take that over and just do those ourselves. So, yeah, if you guys got any questions as far as the training.
Spencer, you have a question?
I was just saying, if we could just do questions at the end, maybe we'll go completely through it.
Okay.
And then if we could do questions at the end, you guys can talk about your perspectives and whatnot. So is we complete on that piece, Nate? Okay, good. So then the 2 options, right? Cover the mission with existing fire personnel, okay, or we add an employee. And so we worked up an analysis, okay? And we'll have the fire chief talk about the shifts that are associated with each one of these here after we just give a brief overview, okay? So if we took over and we did it with existing personnel, okay, we would have to alter the shifts. And talking with Nate, there's anywhere from 30 to 35, maybe 36 hours of work associated with the ARP mission that the fire department would undertake. And to do this, we would have to reduce the overnight coverage and physical presence at the fire station. Weekdays, 12 a.m. to 5 a.m., and then 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. on the weekends. And so if you do the math on that, that's 49 collective hours, right? And so if 35 of those hours is ARF, okay, so that opens up 14 hours that can be used for more commercial inspections, fire flow testing, pre-planning, some of those things that the fire department wants to lean into and do more. And obviously not physically staffing the fire department at night could have an impact to our ISO rating. We called Verisk Analytics and talked to the guy that actually does the public protection classification assessments for ISO ratings, and he said it could impact us anywhere from 2 to 5 points. Our last ISO rating survey was done in 2019, and I believe they plan to do it. Is it this summer or this fall?
This summer, yeah.
This summer, again, this summer. So we polled local insurance companies and just kind of said, hey, what would, if our ISO rating moved from a 3 to a 4, what does that have an impact on homeowners insurance? Seen anywhere, every insurance company is different. Some of them don't even look at the ISO rating. Some of them look at it heavily. Have seen anywhere from a 1% change in premium to $40 on a $250,000 residential property. I think one of you said like 4%. Okay. Did the survey of all local communities, what their ISO ratings are, and if they staff the fire station 24/7. Okay, so that information is in there for you to look at. The calls for service during those hours is detailed. 9.4% of our calls for service happen between 12 a.m. and 5 a.m. During the weekday, and then overall, if you combine, and then the full weekend If you include 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. during the week, and then in the afternoon, or not in the afternoon, on the weekends, right, it's 32% of our calls for service. So again, Commissioner, or Chief Bennett confirms and agrees with those numbers. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So that's there for you there. And then cover the mission by adding an FTE to the department. Attach the financial implications of doing that. And, and added, and just in personnel costs, $105,000 roughly. And so we would hire this person anywhere from an 8A to a 10N, right? And so to steel man this argument and stress test this, if we did it at, like, let's say it's a 9H and they take a full family benefit plan, that is the $105,000. What we provide to the airport in mills, if we give the same number of mills to the airport as we did last year, as far as growth in the mill that we're seeing in 2025, it looked to be about $89,000. From the general fund, we provide them a little over $20,000 in lot fees from the general fund. So there's $109,000 there that we contribute out of the general fund to the airport. Okay. Now, the ARF mission, again, is that 30 to 35 hours, but we would be adding, an equivalent, a full-time equivalent, which is 40 hours, right? And so for round numbers, I'm saying, I think it would be reasonable from the airport's perspective that they should at least contribute to 75% of this extra FT. And this is a conversation we had today, 75%. There was no pushback on that percentage. And so if you go through those numbers, that leaves an additional $26,000 for the city that we would have to pay for with extra sales tax, property tax, whatnot. Two biggest pieces of equipment, the SCBAs and the ARF truck. Spoke with the airport personnel today, and there's a reasonable expectation that we could get some federal assistance with that, but there's probably about a 5% match normally with those sorts of ticket items. So we would have to work that out. But as far as the big equipment goes, we should be able to get help on that.
Not for maintenance, though.
Not for maintenance,
No,
just
no.
repurchasing. and stuff like
Repurchasing,
that when
again,
that happens.
there's 2 SCBAs that need to be purchased in 3 years. That's 20.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
And
again,
there was a lifespan on the truck too, which was
20 years probably.
yeah, about 20,
How much?
another 20 years.
so we're good.
So, give you an opportunity, Chief Bennett, anything you want to add to what we just discussed and what we talked about? Okay.
No,
Good.
if they got questions, I
Yeah.
can sure answer any questions.
And so I guess we would turn over the commissions for thoughts, questions, and concerns. And like I said, we want to try to bring you solutions, not problems. They all have their trade-offs, very well aware. Like I said, I've had good, I'd say productive, passionate discussions with a few of you. And it's really your opportunity to provide feedback, and we're looking to see the direction that the commission wants to go. And again, want to make sure that we're providing you consistent, factual, and good information so you can make an informed decision. So.
Well, this time I'll ask Commissioner Pierce to be the first one to have any comments.
First thing I want to make sure everybody understands was the chief was asked to do this as a proposal. This was not coming out as a recommendation from him to take this over. He got to sign the proposal, worked his butt off to get all the information in that he possibly could. So I want to thank you for that. The things I think that we got to remember when we make this decision is, one, our airport has to keep going. If we do not have that mission covered, there are no flights coming in or going out of Devil's Lake. Yes.
Not to interrupt or
No, go
anything,
ahead.
but it wasn't just me that put this proposal together.
Well,
All the paid guys
Yes,
had a hand in putting
yes.
a part of this together, so.
Absolutely. No, thank you. Yeah.
Can I piggyback on that? I do want to
Yes.
appreciate Nate and the fire department. We had a good conversation this morning about a few things, but as far as, putting together information and proposals and how to get to action on some things that you may not agree with, right? He put the work in, so I'll give him credit for that, and I appreciate that.
So the first one was just, we need to keep the airport going. Two, I looked at, with adding that extra person, the importance of the extra duties that they would be able to perform, be the flow tests for the fire hydrants, the residential inspections and the commercial inspections that they need to get caught up on. They'd have the extra personnel and extra time to get that accomplished. Correct, Chief?
Yes, that will certainly help.
Reducing it to not having 24-hour operations anymore. It is my recommendation that not happen. I understand we'll have conversation on this. My recommendation on that is because their response time is second to none. Their standard of getting there to save a life, to save a structure is second to none. I don't want to see something happen just to save a few bucks. That's how I feel about it. Anytime there's life and death situations, whether it be PD, whether it be fire department, whether it be ambulance services, if there's a human life involved, I would never be able to look a citizen in the eye and say, when they would ask me, will you guys approve this? Could it have helped if it would have stayed? I don't want to have to explain to them, and I know the chief and any other firefighter doesn't want to have to answer because somebody's life was lost or their home was lost. To me, that's not worth a few extra bucks just to be able to do it. But that's how I feel about it, and I understand and I respect everybody else's opinions. I just ask that we stay professional and civil with each other on this because it's a very hot topic, and I can understand and see how we could go both ways. But it's just how I feel for the city. This is the direction we should.
Can I,
I'm gonna go down the line, okay? If it's okay. So Commissioner Robbins.
I got
if you
a
would.
question, back, I don't know how many years ago, 7, 8, maybe a few more. We hired Mr. Berg, I can't remember his first name, Matt Berg.
Mhm.
When he came to town, we hired him. He was going to make it so that the fire department could take over our program at that time.
Mhm.
And he was also gonna help some of these building inspections that we're so far behind on. Well, lo and behold, this meant that I think our program, we didn't stick with it out there very long.
Well, I don't remember all what happened, but it didn't
But
turn out to be with us. It just didn't work out. We didn't have the manpower to meet their scheduling. And Dennis.
But I remember hiring him for that specific task.
I was on the board at that time, Dennis Olson, chairman, Devils Lake Regional Airport Authority. And I know the discussion at the time was Matt was being hired with prospect of 50% fire, 50% airport. It didn't work. It took a few months for this to transpire, and it's just like the same situation we're going through here right now. We're trying to find a way to make this work. That didn't work. He ended up being a full-time firefighter. For a while, the fire department was doing some ARF duties back in the day before we got all this new equipment and the FAA changed their guidelines. The larger planes came along, more passengers. We had to have better quality security, better quality safety. And that's where we're at right now. Just like the rest of the city departments, we're suffering on the staff shortage also. We haven't had a full staff for 2 or 3 years. And when you have a staff of 4, when you miss 1, 2 sometimes, it's really tough to maintain because as the FAA says, their guidelines are you have to be in the building close to the fire truck 15 minutes before the plane lands. You have to be in there the duration of the time the plane is on the ground. You have to remain in the building close to that truck for 15 minutes after the airplane takes off. When you're out in the airport doing things, fixing reels, fixing the pappies, fixing wirings, all the stuff that comes along, just doing routine maintenance. When you have to take one guy back into the station twice a day for anywhere from 2.5 to 3 hours, that's 6 hours out of his day. That means that everything else suffers. So what we're looking at is something that we're going to maintain our ARF certification and qualification with the guys we have because they've already been certified. They're both qualified right now besides the airport manager. So we will be here at the airport to take care of something that comes up, and it could. There's always that possibility. So we will still have personnel there, and all they have to do is go through the recertification, but they will train with these guys also on that equipment. And what it's going to do is take a big load off the manager's table. When you have to think of what Scott goes through every day with all the FAA regulations, Nate's just starting to figure out how many T's there are to cross and how many I's there are to dot, and it's relentless. As soon as you get something, they change a form on you, you have to go through the whole process again. We just spent $44,000 a couple of years ago updating our ACM, which is our airport certification manual. Now, if this happens, we will have to do a partial update again. And, I mean, the things that come up with us, we're also taking over the maintenance on our new terminal building because we're in a position financially, we can't hire a custodian, wish we had somebody like you have here. And financially, fiscally responsible, being financially responsible, this to me is the best decision we can come to make this work. We're willing to give up, and we basically have for the last 2 years, we're willing to give up basically a person because we think we can do what we need to do if city fire department is willing to take over the ARF duties. As the authority having jurisdiction, they already do some of the inspections on non-movement side. I'm open to any questions. I mean, I could go on for an hour.
No, I would agree.
Just stand there, Dennis.
I
in
think the
case-
city should take it over. So I don't know if that's where you're thinking my thought process were going. I was thinking they should.
Yeah.
But at one time we hired another person to get involved.
Right.
And that didn't
Mhm.
happen. So that person's still, that body's still a full-time employee. So my mindset is having the partially staffed, not staffing at night or at those hours on the weekend is a win-win for everybody. You get what you want. The fire department gets a few extra hours to get done what they have to do. And financially, it could be a financial, you don't want to call it a win, but it would give the city a little more financial money in the general fund. And the thought that I had there, if you're worrying about the ISO rating, I talked to Dave Schneidel as well. And I don't know when he said maybe a dip of 2 to 5 points on the ISO rating, which might trigger us to a 4. But I don't know if he was thinking we were going to just go 5 days a week like Jamestown. Jamestown's Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and that's it. I think that was the impression he had. I said, what if we're still staffed 16 hours a day, not just Monday through Friday, 8 to 5? And he said that'd be about 1.5 to 2 points. He said you'd stay at a 3 in his opinion. And then he said if there was any new water main replacements or different size water lines and whatnot, that would factor into the rating as well. So he didn't feel that it would be have any impact on our ISO rating. That's where I'm at there. Let's see. And the inspections. Well, let me back up. One thing that was the fire department used to take care of the traffic controls. That's been absorbed through the street public.
We still do the lights
Yeah,
up in the air,
yeah, but
but
that's how far.
the controls and them, they've taken that over. Yep.
That engineering's taking that over. And how far are we behind on the lights? We're gonna swap out the lights, the purple
The
lights.
purple ones?
Yeah,
So the ones we have left over here on 20, we have to take down and completely change out the drivers. So we've been waiting for it to get nice so that way we don't leave the wires exposed up top. We're trying to get it so it's nice enough that the guys can work outside without freezing their hands and see if they can change them while they're out there. So we don't have to take any heads down for an extended period of time.
Keep in mind, they're not electricians
Take
either.
them
They're
down,
dealing
put them
with some
back
high
I mean, if
voltage.
we gotta get an electrician, let's get an electrician. But the thought is, we're behind on our inspections, we're behind on this, we're behind on that. It just seems like we were behind on our inspections 6 or 7 years ago when we hired somebody to
Well,
help get them done.
Just a clarification, when we started that building inspection program back when we got Matt too.
Right.
That was an inspection program that fire department did not have at that time.
Right,
That was
part of-
all rental inspection program that never, that got kicked off at that time with that additional guy.
Right, and that was part of the thought process for hiring him.
And,
Okay,
and the
well,
ARF, that's exactly right.
Yeah, and so the ARF has gone away. And
How many do you do? Well, I mean, they're up, just to clarify, how many inspections have you done in a year?
How many have we done in a year?
Yeah, like how many, because I know there's been,
300 and something?
Commercial, daycare, gas.
Yeah, which ones are you talking about?
between the two, between the commercial and the.
Yeah, I would say
And the
just over
resident.
300.
There's 4 different inspections we go through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
we're
just
looking
just
at-
so the.
Yeah.
you
Yeah, no, I
understand.
understand totally. I'm in the library, I saw the inspection he did at the library.
Mhm.
My wife does daycare, I know how long it takes to do a daycare inspection. And a rental property one, sometimes I'm going, how can this place not be condemned, but nothing ever happens to them type of thing. So I'm not gonna go into that right now.
Okay.
You can only go so far with our
Right, yeah,
inspections.
The
Trust me,
inspections
we-
we're trying to get into more of are the commercial side. Like, we want to get more into the commercial buildings downtown and work with the property owners there to try and bring some of those up to the standards.
To make recommendations
The
to
new
them,
standards,
which
yeah.
they have X amount of time to adhere to or whatever
Correct.
the case might
And
be.
when we adopted the codes, was it last summer, or the summer before?
Last summer, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, there was a specific section of the codes that we did not adopt just because we didn't want to do any undue burden onto the property owners. But we want to work with them to slowly get them up to the new codes.
Yeah. and
So
which
if there's
is
any
understandable.
big influx in costs or whatever, that way we can work with them.
Yeah, and the one that gets me the most, and every time, I've had this conversation a couple times, second time, I guess, none of them have been brought up on my behalf, but situations like this evolve. And when you were saying that the response time is so vastly improved in somebody's life, you can't argue with that. So I can't even put up an argument on that.
Nobody can.
But you've got Jamestown, twice the size of us, and they're Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. I don't know if they're doing a good job or a bad job, but apparently nobody's brought up that topic in their community type of thing.
I understand what, I mean, in looking into that, I understand that you have to do that, and I agree that you had to take some time and research what in Jamestown and other towns. I would personally just don't want to compare Devil's Lake's reputation of what we have and change it because another city or another town's doing it differently. I look at the success rate of our emergency response, be it whatever it is, the police, the sheriff, fire department, or the ambulance, and say, let's work hard to set that standard. This is Devil's Lake, and that's just.
Can't dispute that. Valley City has 2 full-time fire department people, a chief and a part-time guy that also works in public works when he's not busy doing fire stuff. Community the same size town. I don't know, they probably don't do inspections like you do. They probably have a building inspector that works in the city office, a few other things, but you were saying my thought would be, or my directive would be, I'd like to just stick with the amount of staff we have and cut the overnight hours. That would be my take on it, and then we can move on.
Good, thank you. Rob?
I know we had our discussion earlier today, so I'm pretty well set where I need to be. I think this needs to move forward, hire the extra guy, and let's move on.
All you have?
Yep.
Mr. Hamry?
The only thing I'm going to add here is, yes, we're talking about ARF right now, but if we take away a guy, it's really hard to add back. If you look at where the future is going completely with volunteerism, you look at rural, you look at the city fire department, we're going to end up as a full-time department that's going to be covering the rural and the city at some point, because we're not going to be having those volunteers volunteerism is just dying, period. I mean, the rural stealing from the city stealing from the rural. I mean, we extended the boundaries years ago to be able to bring in more volunteers. You're just not going to have them. Besides ARF, what really needs to be planned and start looking forward is how the rest of this is going to transition down the road in bringing in more paid staff to start taking this over as volunteers disappear and the fire service needs to cover more. I don't know. I've been thinking about it for many years, but with the ARF, it's a start now bringing it on, but this city is going to have to start planning here somewhere to start looking at that also. That's all I'm going to add. I don't want to see anybody disappear. I don't want to see any coverage disappear, because tell you what, when I go to bed at night and I know that it's staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they've got great men and women down there that, my daughter's going to get out of the house. Maybe I won't, because I'm fat, but I can get her out.
I do agree they got great men and women, but I've never thought about it when I went to bed.
Dennis, you want to say something before I speak?
I have a couple comments. First comment is if you're not aware of it, I'm assuming you all are, we're growing our airport exponentially. We set another record this month with 800, for last month, with 810 employments. So that's about, if I have my math right, that's 14 out of 15 months where we've set an all-time record. So we're still growing. I still believe with our new terminal and our advertising that we're going to keep drawing more and more as we get further down the road with completion. The other thing I'd like to add about the fire department is, having been a loyal member for many years, the scope of services has changed exponentially for the fire department. What they do now has no variance whatsoever in what they did 10 years, 15 years, even 5 years ago as far as what they do. So it's not like the fire department is gaining a person. We're working in deals, so we've got one to give to the fire department for now at a rate of about $7,000 to $8,000 plus a startup of another $25,000. So they're really not gaining a man. We're basically letting them have one.
That I would add, though, it does add the $30,000 in long-term responsibility that needs to be covered by the city, right?
And we've sat here
75%,
and we're doing different things and handing out money pretty generously over the years too. But, okay, now is it my turn to speak?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But I'll interrupt you.
Okay.
You can count on it.
Well, you can count on me disagreeing with you right away. Because I, for one, will be passionate about what I'm talking about right now. I have served there. I helped build that department, and there'd be damned if I want to see it go away from a 24/7. I will fight tooth and nail if I have to go petition every resident in this town to do it, because that isn't going to happen, in my opinion. Because I tell you what, that department has to fight for everything they get. We've got this volunteer fishing tournament. You know how many hours I
I'm
put
sick
in?
of hearing the fire.
I know you're sick of it because it doesn't mean anything to you.
It
I
means
get
everything
that.
to me.
No,
But
it
you can't
doesn't.
play-
It brings
we-
money to the community.
I work at the curling club. I raised $100,000.
Yeah,
for
and the
curling.
money goes to
But-
there.
And do I say, look at
Do
me,
you
look
bring
what
it,
I do?
all the people help the
I mean, it's
community?
great.
Okay,
It's
I
gotta
gotta be
there.
professional here. I'm gonna hold on, but I'm gonna also tell you how I feel. That fire department has done more for this community than you believe. One day I sat here and watched you hire a police officer with nothing happened. And nothing against the police, because I think they're the finest ones we got, and I'm the commissioner, but you hired a cop with just the word of the chief saying, I need a guy. You know what was added to that? Oh, do you need a cop car to go along with it? Okay, that's what you sat here and did. You don't deny it, because it happened. And I tell you what, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I think we need cops. They got a lot going on. But now we're here, we have to justify every little detail, which we have an airport that by all means needs this help.
100%.
Okay, but we have citizens, we have older citizens. The day they rescued how many people out of a 2-story, 3-story window when they couldn't find another way out of that apartment fire? Time means something. We lost a guy because we didn't get there in time. That was an unfortunate situation. We lose lives. The statistics, national statistics. I sat on a national fire commission, and statistics of death during the middle of the night that's when all the deaths happen. We cannot take our fire service away at night. No way, no how. We have to have that truck just getting there, and the volunteers responding along with it is important, vital. Our residents, our senior citizens, our elderly are important to us. They know, when I went to the nursing homes and did these COCs, they know that we have an A1 because we bought a lot of equipment that the city hasn't spent millions of dollars on because of the fishing tournament, but we saved the taxpayers' money. We're saving the taxpayer money for not having to buy that equipment. The city helped pay that aerial truck. You are correct.
You are, but
Okay.
if you didn't have the fishing tournament,
So
you
you
wouldn't have
want-
the equipment.
We wouldn't have, well, do you want to hand the fishing tournament to someone else? They'll enjoy it. We could hand that off.
I guarantee you they'd take it.
But they'd take it out of the community. That wouldn't be good.
No, I tell you.
That is a unreasonable consideration, in my opinion. So we're going to disagree on that, and you can fight that tooth and nail, but I will fight you on that also. But I think all in all, we need to provide the airport the service. We need to provide 24/7 fire service protection. All you have is one person. They got to get that truck. Okay, for instance, you take that guy. Oh, we got our paid guys that are scattered around town. Okay, we get a call in the middle of the night, critical call, and it takes him at least 10 minutes to wake up in the middle of the night. Then he's got to drive to the fire hall because he's got to be on call, get a truck, and then it's by the time he gets
Will
up.
the police officer going over there?
They don't have any way of fighting the fire.
Well, if there's somebody needs to be rescued.
You know what?
Is that possible? I don't know.
I would say that
I'm thinking it
Well,
is.
it's dangerous, number one.
Right. No, I know, but
It's
if
the old Bill Elke, the fire chief. You don't want that.
And if you've seen somebody blowing off a porch, you might think twice.
To add to what the mayor's saying, fires aren't the same as they were back in 1970, 1980. They are fast. They're quick moving. Everything in your house is combustible. I mean, it'll go up in a matter of
How
5
fast, how
minutes.
fast does the house go down now? We were
Between
discussing
5
that.
and 10 minutes.
So it used to be about 10 minutes you had to get out. It's down to about 3 now because a room of contents fire can flash over in about 3 minutes.
It's not really the fire that's going to get you when you were talking sleeping. It's
Mayor,
the smoke at night.
Can I say something
Okay,
real quick? I love the compassion that everybody has on this, and just as the fire department's on my portfolio, it's a very compassionate argument and feelings about all of this, because I agree with, we all agree that we need to do this. I understand that I respect you for doing your homework, because not a lot of people do that, so I respect you for that. I just think that instead of us doing this, and it's just, we need to just come up with everybody's recommendation on this. And
Well, it's a done deal. I don't have a problem with it. Last time I didn't bring it up last time it was presented. I had the same opinion. I get the same opinion now. It's nothing personal.
Yeah.
It just, in my world, it sounds horrible, but out of those 24 hours, how many hours are productive? I mean,
Well, the night sleeping, that's a big issue.
And probably
but all
from
fire
five
departments do it.
5 till 10. I mean,
The hours, well,
done then.
they got duties, they're working until, well, most of them 6, 7 o'clock at night.
If I can interject on that part.
Okay,
So
yeah.
so they'll probably eat their supper anywhere from 5 to 6 or 6 to 7, whenever. But they do nightly cleaning. They wrap up their inspections, because we got to type them all up, get them sent out. So they do extra work in the evenings. So it's not just.
If you, I'm not
It's
there
not
to
just downtime.
say yes or no, but I'm not there.
That's what I would ask you to go see that once, in fact, I think I remember asking you to come over.
And I've been there when the paid guys had their kids and wives and
Yeah.
families there hanging out.
Well, they spend their holidays there, they spend a lot of time. You know what, we promote it as family, get involved in the community, you gotta, that's why we're losing volunteers. As Shane has said, we are gonna be in a hurting situation, though, you're not too far down the road. Volunteers are not stepping up to the plate, and if they are, some of the quality isn't always there. And every volunteer, just so you know, comes in off the street, doesn't have a clue what a firefighter is. You know what? And I don't know that people realize that when you come off the street, they don't even know what all they know is a big red truck. Guess where they get the training? They don't get sent to a college or an academy. We don't have an academy for that. There are some, but it costs a lot of money. And volunteers can't take time off their jobs to go get trained. So when the training happens is at night. We have several nights. In fact, that's one of the requirements of a new volunteer. And they spend 3 or 4 nights a week at fire hall trying to get up to speed. And that's a 16 to 19 week course. So it takes time. And you got to build that guy, not only in the book, and you got to train them on the hands-on. When you get out to the hands-on training, you light up that training tower and you send a newbie in there that's never been in there, they're scared. I mean, scared to the point, Dennis, you and I have been on it for 45 years. And all our years of service, back in the day, we had a lot of fires. Okay, there's a lot of reason not to have those fires now because of the building codes, the fire codes, sprinkler systems. A lot of things are built into it, but it's taken a lot of hard work, inspections to keep it up. So that's all being done. And that's why, everybody thinks the fire department sitting around drinking coffee, playing cards. That's not happening. That is not happening.
I've learned a lot, Mayor, in the 2 years that I've been on this.
I can stake my reputation there. It's not happening. We worked hard, and I was really, our guys, when I was the chief of that department, I took pride in getting that class 3. That didn't come easy. And that all comes along with the water system upgrades. I mean, we have the best infrastructure there is. And that's the only way we got it. Some of these guys that got a 3, I'm not sure why they got a 3. Because Jamestown we were always told you had to have manpower and you had to have 24/7 coverage to get a 3.
The last time we talked about it, I called the gal that did the ISO rating then, and she told me that 24-hour staff was not a point of topic. And that was 10 years ago last time you and I were
Well, I don't understand it, and I never will, but I know that was a huge accomplishment to get to a 3. Just as Fargo is running around with a Fast 1 ISO rating on their trucks. They're pretty proud of it. You know, I mean, that is an important part of being, you know, it's not everything in the fire department. Your response time is huge. You know, you have to be able to respond from the station to the farthest away distant. And am I wrong in saying it was 5 minutes to get from
1.5 miles, I think is what he told me.
Yeah, within a,
I within,
So it's-
within the 2 years I've been in, it's been on my portfolio. I had no clue what these men and women go through in a month's time. The chief, the assistant chief, and the lieutenant, seeing them there after an 8 to 10 hour day, staying until the freaking moon rises as they're doing training and the parking lot's full, seeing the community events they put together, them going to the schools, them doing all this on top of, at the time, the lights, the stops, the stoplights, the safety signals, putting up and down the flags, and then doing their normal training during the day and paperwork and everything. That I had no clue
Nuisances.
myself. Nuisances.
shade tree.
I had no clue. And
Shade tree could be handed out.
yeah,
Well,
that,
yeah,
and I
it could
think
be.
it,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, it's kind
absolutely.
of getting there. It was-
All right, anyway,
But
I give up. I
anyway,
got a white flag.
I just one thing too.
And it wasn't slamming.
You're not
Oh,
getting
I
away with
know.
waving the white flag yet.
It wasn't about how important you guys are. My
And
opinion is we don't need a
I'll
24/7.
apologize if I said something totally out of order to you.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to. I am passionate about it. And I tell you, we didn't even talk about our regional response team that we're thought of as a state level. And those other departments are not. You know, so that means something too. And we responded to 2 hazmat situations that got high regard from the state of North Dakota Department of Emergency Services. You know, the one at Heimdall, that was, we went out there and our advice that was very vital to how they handled that. Fessenden Fire Department, Harvey Fire Department was in awe of what we did. Grant Works showed up. They were there, but they were remarkable. You know, they remarked highly of what we did for advice.
And I
So
never
we stand
question
in high regard
competency. Yeah, no,
in the state of.
To go with your overnight though, if you look at the percentage of the calls are 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. That's overnight.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, that's all I'm gonna add to put the punch note into that overnight.
So I know you don't want anything, we weren't expecting anything today. So just my recommendation, not calling for a motion, is to think forward about, I want to approve the shift that you recommended in the memo.
Let's talk about the shift on that
Yeah,
too, because it's important, I think.
Yeah,
How is it
so
formed?
the shifts that we looked at, we did look at what it would take to do it with just the current staff we have now and keeping the 24-hour coverage, and it was way too expensive, in my opinion.
With
It
the
was-
overtime.
It was a lot. And then, so we looked at running a 24, 12, 72 hour, so that'd give the guys the time off that they normally have. But it would also require them to work extra the day after their 24-hour shift. And after talking with the paid guys, that was a recommendation on their behalf to take it out of the back half instead of putting it in the front half. So that would allow us to work with our stuff, our normal duties, commercial inspections, different things like that with that 24-hour guy. And then the 12-hour guy would be able to cover the flights and cover some of the trainings and different things like that at those times. Yep.
So one guy would work 24 hours a day.
Yep, he'd work a 24-hour shift, and then instead of going home after that 24 hours, so just for numbers' sake, they'd work from 8 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Yep.
And then they'd work until 8 p.m.
Okay,
To-
30,
to
you
cover
get 36 hours in basically 2 days.
Yep.
I'm almost ready to sign up.
Well,
And the other option that we provided to them, they looked at it, they were like, we'd rather just work the 36 instead of working a 12 here, having time off and then coming back for a 24. Because most fire departments, if you have extra hours, you just want to tag it onto the back
Because you
half.
can't
of the
plan
24-hour
anything, you
shift.
can't do anything with your family, it's
No.
sleep and right back up.
So
So that's what, that 24,1272 is what, in the long run, it's less expensive too because of the overtime, all that stuff, it's saving money actually. So, but that would be my recommendation for everybody just to think about this. We can give it, present it at the airport authority and then come back and make the approval. I don't want it to extend on any longer than it has to because we should just nip this in the bud and get it.
Dennis?
Just one further comment. I think what we're missing in this is the response time to the airport from the fire department.
Mhm.
FAA guidelines say they have to be able to respond to the airport for an incident in 3 minutes. So that just about dictates that there's going to have to be somebody at that airport. If we are in violation, our airport will be shut down immediately.
Well, there's a plan to have somebody there all the time, so there is no response time.
There's a response time for the truck, for the guys. We have people there.
Yeah, the RF
The
guy.
truck and get out.
Right. But
Okay.
you have to realize that 3,000 gallons of water that's in that truck, that's about 3 minutes
He's
worth of
talking
spray.
about not the guy out there. If there's a guy out there, the fire
Right.
department itself has to be out there with
The
it.
fire department has to show up. They are the authority having jurisdiction right now.
So we have.
So they
to-
have to show up.
So that could be accomplished in Grand Forks, Fargo, why not, everywhere? They have.
Some of those airports have their own fire departments. They're right there. They're staffed all the time, 24/7.
You did it.
Fargo, Grand Forks.
Yeah,
has
Fargo,
one.
Grand Forks, Williston has a crew that goes out and covers.
And I'm not as familiar with Jamestown as they used to be, but Jamestown Rural Fire Department handles the duties at the airport and they go on and off shifts. I don't even know. Last time I talked to the manager at Jamestown, they were paying their staff through the airport budget. The airport is its own entity, a little different than what we have here.
Pretty much you close our airport down, we're a dead city.
The RTI's done.
So that's a situation. Our guys are trained to take that truck to the scene. But as soon as somebody shows up from the fire department, they're in command. And that's basically an FAA responsibility. That's some of the paperwork that he has to do. So, I mean, it's either we don't want to be in a position to take a chance. And I'm not talking just commercial. Commercial, we can shut down our airport. But we also have general aviation planes that have issues. They have responded to incidents at our airport also. So it behooves us to have the best quality that we can do.
And when I talked to the gal in Jamestown, the manager, their maintenance guys do the RF stuff Monday through Friday. The fire department covers on the weekend, and they have one volunteer that's trained.
Did you
on the
ask
weekend.
what was the number of staff she has?
I didn't ask her that, but she said that the staff covers it during the
She's
week.
got 7 to 9 people working for her full-time.
Okay, I'd have to revisit that, but she just said they take care of it during the week. But neither here nor there. It's discussion ended.
Okay, well,
Any other questions for the airport side? They're being done. I think might be done with me. Thank you.
thank you for,
Appreciate it.
okay. We'll bring this back up at the next meeting,
Yeah, like I said, we're gonna go to the airport authority board. Initially, we kind of talked terms today.
Okay.
And you're.
And then get it 25,000 for the startup cost. We're gonna ask the airport to pay for that. And then, again, they're gonna see a revenue, they should see an expected revenue reduction. Depending as to what, grade step and health insurance plan that the new employee takes on. We'll have to, we'll work that out.
But you're gonna leave the
It's
theater already?
a lot better hours.
you gotta become a
Well, better
volunteer
benefit.
first. You ain't gonna like the night training. Cause I'm gonna be there to help them train you. I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Okay, thank you. Before we get there though, I got a couple items, okay? Citizens comment, okay. There's nothing under citizen comment. Informational items. Okay, if there's nothing there, now I entertain a motion on the bills.
You have your motion, Mayor.
Commissioner Hamry,
Second.
Commissioner Hatch. Okay, any discussion?
Please, no.
Roll call.
Commissioner Robbins?
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamry?
Aye.
Commissioner Hash?
Aye.
President Moore?
Aye. Commission adjourned.